where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose.
For years, internet Sherlocks have given theories suggesting that the Baby Bieber-era relationship with Diddy was sus, but the Biebs never commented on this. Maybe because he was scared of the big, bad Diddy.
And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
With Diddy's case blowing up, Justin has finally come forward with receipts of his childhood trauma.
It was hard for me being that young.
You can pick your jaws back off the floor, besties. We're just getting started. Before the timeline was totally giving problematic vibes, and before cancel culture came for Diddy's whole career era, a 15-year-old Justin Bieber was just entering his main character origin story. The Biebs was literally that guy, discovered at 14 by talent manager Scooter Braun. We'll save that tea for another day. Signed by Usher, who has his own complicated story, and transformed from a YouTube cover artist to a global pop phenomenon faster than you can say parasocial relationship. Through Usher, Bieber met Sean Diddy Combs, a prominent music mogul and founder of Bad Boy Records. Their relationship began around 2009, when Bieber was just a baby in the industry, and Diddy was fully in his mogul era with god-tier clout in the music scene. The receipts from their early interactions are giving typical music industry mentor-mentee energy. On October 14th, 2009, Baby Biebs was in his Notice Me Senpai era when he reached out to Diddy on the app formerly known as Twitter, posting, "Have a song I produced for it, I Am Diddy. Everyone tell him he needs to. Let me do something for his album. That would be crazy. Get at me, Diddy. Haha." Living for this throwback social media moment, it's giving 2009 internet nostalgia vibes, and shows Bieber was just a stan trying to collab with someone he was simping for in the industry. But then, the motherlode of all sketchy content dropped. A YouTube video that would later be dissected by internet detectives like it was a true crime documentary. Posted on Bieber's channel in November 2009, Justin Bieber's 48 HRS with Diddy showed the 15-year-old Bieber with Diddy, who described their time together as definitely a 15-year-old's dream. The real yikes moment that's had TikTok conspiracy theorists in a chokehold came when Diddy said, "Where we hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose. But, it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream." That's the kind of sus content that gets picked apart in 45-minute YouTube exposés, IYKK.
They're having the times of their lives, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. But, it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me.
The vibes got even more cursed when Diddy promised teenage Bieber access to his Lamborghini when he turned 16 and casually dropped that he'd hook him up with his mansion at 18. It's giving if you know energy. Then the conversation took an absolutely unhinged turn when Bieber, prompted by Diddy about what he wanted to do during their 48 hours, said, "Let's just go get some girls." To which Diddy replied with peak creeper energy, "The man air my heart. That's what I'm talking about, kid." The comment section would be cooked if this dropped today.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you tried to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you never really got my number, so.
Right, okay.
My number?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you my number.
Yeah.
Their collab era continued through 2010. In February, they served main character energy together at the BTSOS Saving Ourselves Help for Haiti benefit concert in Miami with Sean Kingston, building their public alliance. In July 2010, delivering on his weird flex promise from the 2009 video, Bieber was spotted driving Diddy's Lamborghini, a flex that was supposed to give rich mentor vibes, but now has big groomer energy in the retelling. By December 2010, they were filming promo content for Diddy's album Last Train to Paris. The vibe check was off when Diddy gave Bieber a Bad Boy Entertainment Letterman jacket, major clout token back then, and asked why they weren't hanging anymore. Bieber's response was all awkward energy, claiming Diddy didn't have his number, giving Major trying to create distance vibes that TikTok body language experts would have a field day analyzing. The most chronically online moment came in February 2011, when Diddy and a 16-year-old Bieber hit up Jimmy Kimmel Live together. Diddy was giving protective big bro energy, calling Bieber a little brother, and talking about how the music industry was a strong family looking out for baby Biebs. But then came the comment that's been living in our collective trauma since. He knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television. That line would break Twitter today. It's the kind of red flag that gets a 10-part podcast series dedicated to it.
Right.
Got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
The Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
The crossover episodes continued with Bieber showing up at Diddy's party in Atlanta in February 2014, rubbing shoulders with Rick Ross and T.I., continuing the public alliance. The next year, for Bieber's 21st birthday era, they recorded content drinking tequila, with Diddy claiming it was Bieber's first shot ever, which is literally cap based on Bieber's later timeline of substance use that started in his early teens. It's giving PR stunt energy. For Bieber's 22nd birthday, glow up in February 2016, Diddy gave him another Bad Boy Letterman jacket, a moment that was peak content for the gram with Bieber stunting in the merch. The GI was major stan culture currency, positioning Bieber in Diddy's inner circle. The relationship maintained some collab energy through 2023, when Bieber featured on Diddy's track Moments from the Love album Off the Grid, with Bieber dropping a casual @Diddy on X, his last public acknowledgement before everything went sideways. Then came the plot twist no one saw coming, Diddy's downfall arc. Ere his September 26, 2024 arrest on charges that sent shockwaves through stan Twitter, the entire Bieber-Diddy relationship got the internet detective treatment. The old content, especially the 48 Hours with Diddy video, got resurfaced faster than a canceled influencer's apology video, with TikTok and Twitter theory threads connecting dots and raising questions about whether Bieber was in toxic environments as a minor. The internet's response was chaotic as expected. Half the timeline was making "Protect Justin" hashtags trend, while others were begging for receipts before jumping to conclusions. The mess hit peak delusion when an AI-generated song called "Lost Myself at a Diddy Party" went viral on TikTok, falsely credited to Bieber, with lines like, "I was in it for a new Ferrari, but it cost me way more than my soul." The fakery spread like wildfire because it fit the narrative the algorithm was feeding. While this drama was serving peak engagement, Bieber himself, now 30 and in his dad era with son Jack Blues Bieber since August 2023, has been giving radio silence. Sources close to the Biebs claim he's completely disgusted by the allegations and wants nothing to do with the situation, keeping it low-key and prioritizing family over statement notes app screenshots. Other insiders say he's deeply disturbed and has shut off from the topic entirely, giving major self-preservation energy in the midst of a scandal he didn't create. The situation has even birthed a Justice for Justin movement, trending alongside calls for better child star protections. The industry's "let's exploit the talent" business model is finally getting called out, with creator safeguarding becoming the main character in the conversation. The Bieber-Diddy dynamic is drawing comparisons to Usher's experience in the Diddy universe, as Usher lived with the mogul at 13 and later spilled tea about seeing curious things at Diddy's parties. This parallel is feeding conspiracy theory creators, though without Bieber's own story time, it's all speculation content. As much as the Biebs has not directly addressed the Diddy saga, the speculations have drawn attention to his mental health issues, as fans wonder if his troubles are somehow linked to Diddy. Baby Biebs entered the chat on March 1st, 1994, in London, Ontario, Canada, born to teenage parents whose situationship was messy from day one. Patty Millett and Jeremy Bieber, both barely legal at 18, never put a ring on it and split faster than a viral breakup announcement ere Justin was born. This set up Justin's childhood for major daddy issues, being raised by his single mom in Stratford, Ontario, with occasional grandparent assists. The Biebers were giving broke vibes, living in low-income housing while Patty worked multiple jobs that weren't paying the bills. The father figure was giving ghost energy in Justin's origin story. Jeremy was mostly in his absent era, with the ultimate deadbeat move of disappearing for a whole year when Justin was about 4, only to return dramatically on Father's Day. This father-son plot hole created the kind of trauma that therapy TikTok warns you about, the void that makes you seek validation from older male authority figures later in life. The plot thickens when you realize Patty was carrying her own unhealed trauma baggage. Her 2012 memoir, Nowhere But Up, the story of Justin Bieber's mom, spilled that she survived SA starting at age 3, battled substance abuse, and had a full-on unalive attempt at 17. That's the kind of generational trauma that inevitably impacts parenting, creating the unstable vibe check that baby Biebs grew up with. In his 2021 GQ era, Bieber reflected on being raised by 2 unreliable and overwhelmed parents who couldn't give him the stability blueprint. He admitted being drawn to Pastor Judah Smith's family precisely because they were serving what his broken family wasn't. This childhood instability, combo-ed with financial struggles, created the perfect storm for the mental health villain arc that would enter the chat when fame hit. Despite the home life red flags, Justin's main character energy emerged early. At 12, he runner-upped in a local singing competition, which led to Patty posting his performances on YouTube. Basically, creating content before being a content creator was a career path. those videos caught Talent Manager Scooter Braun's algorithm in 2007, leading to Bieber signing with RBMG Records faster than you can say child labor laws. By 13, Bieber was serving global main character energy with his debut EP My World in 2009, and the cultural reset bop Baby from My World 2.0 inches in 2010, creating an army of believers practically overnight. The vibe she, from normal teen to global superstar, was giving whiplash. In a 2019 Instagram vulnerability post, Bieber described the psychological damage. I went from a 13-year-old boy from a small town to being praised and right by the world, with millions saying how much they loved me and how great I was. He admitted the parasocial love bombing led him to start believing it, creating a reality distortion field for a brain that was literally still developing. As he put it, his brain, emotions, frontal lobes, decision-making aren't developed yet, serving neuropsychology facts that teen pop stars aren't mentally equipped for fame pressure. The toxic grind culture of the music industry immediately entered villain mode. In his GQ Spill session, Bieber remembered feeling really sad signing the record deal, missing his bestie era and normal life so much, he literally hid his passport to dodge work. This showed how the industry was already exploiting his main character energy, creating the burnout that would later fuel his mental health spiral. This toxic pressure cooker situation led Baby Biebs to the self-medication arc that started way too early in his timeline. In his 2020 YouTube docuseries, Justin Bieber Seasons, he dropped the tea that he first blazed up at 12 or 13 in his Stratford backyard, confessing, "I got super stoned, and then I realized I liked weed a lot." This early substance experimentation speedrun accelerated as fame turned up the pressure. By 19, Bieber was fully in his substance abuse era, experimenting with the whole toxic menu lean, MDMA, shrooms, and various pills. The addiction saga reached life or death stakes, with Bieber describing it as legit crazy scary. The situation was so dire that his security team would literally pulse check him during the night to make sure he hadn't unalived. "I think I was waking up in the morning and the first thing I was doing is popping pills and smoking a blunt and starting my day. It just got scary," he confessed in Seasons, serving the rock-bottom narrative that would later fuel his redemption arc. In his 2019 Vogue vulnerability dump, Bieber explained he was using Xanax to numb his shame spiral, particularly about his hookup era, noting that substances created a screen between him and his behavior. "I found myself doing things that I was so ashamed of, being super promiscuous and stuff, and I think I used Xanax because I was so ashamed," he admitted, giving therapy speak about the shame substance cycle that was eating him alive. He admitted, giving therapy speak about the shame substance cycle that was eating him alive. Alongside his substance demons, Bieber was battling the depression and anxiety boss level. In his 2019 Instagram confession post, he described the vibe as days where it's hard to get out of bed in the morning, with constant dread about facing another day. He admitted to moments where he felt like it's never going to change, and had considered the unalive option, revealing the absolutely dark mental health hole he was in. The Seasons docuseries showed his journey seeking therapy and professional help for the depression and anxiety combo that was wrecking his vibe. The plot twist in his mental health arc came in 2020 when Bieber visited Amen clinics for brain SPECT imaging, serving medical receipts that his issues weren't bipolar disorder as previously diagnosed, but related to different neurological patterns. "When I first went to Amen clinics, I was struggling with my emotions, my relationships, struggling with my speech sounding intelligent, and I didn't know why I was behaving this way or why I wasn't managing my emotions," he shared, showing how proper diagnosis changed his healing journey algorithm. By 20, Bieber felt like he'd become the most ridiculed, judged, and hated person in the world, thanks to his villain-era decisions and public L's. The 2014 receipts included arrests for vandalism and DUI, later so-end to careless driving and resisting arrest, intensifying the cancel culture narrative and the fallen child star trope that media vultures love to push. Bieber's redemption arc featured Faith as the main character, baptized in 2014 by Pentecostal pastor Carl Lentz. Before Lentz had his own scandal era, Bieber rebranded as a Jesus follower, telling Zane Lowe in 2020, "When you accept Jesus, he says that now you walk with the Holy Spirit." His church era with Hillsong and Church Home gave him purpose beyond clout metrics, helping him navigate his healing journey and find meaning that streaming numbers couldn't provide.
I just went deep into I believed in Jesus, but I never really when it says following Jesus is actually turning away from sin, And so there's no, what it talks about in the Bible, it's like there's no obedience, there's no faith without obedience. So it's like I had faith about like, oh, I believe Jesus died on the cross for me, but I never really implemented it into my life. I never like was like, I'm gonna be obedient. So I was like, I wasn't sleeping around.
His wifey era with Hailey Baldwin starting in 2018 became another healing plot point, though. It came with its own character development. In a 2022 Apple Music vulnerability session, Bieber admitted having an emotional breakdown early in their marriage when he realized it wouldn't fix all my problems, serving major growth mindset energy. I hit a little bit of an emotional breakdown because I thought marriage was going to fix all my problems, and it didn't, he confessed, showing how he thought a ring would heal his trauma, big yikes energy that therapy TikTok warns about. Despite the marriage growing pains, Bieber told GQ in 2021 that wife Hailey and his faith community were his core stabilizers, describing this chapter as the best season of my life. I have a wife who I adore, who I feel comforted by. I feel safe. I feel like my relationship with God is wonderful. And I have this outpouring of love that I want to be able to share with people, he shared, serving wholesome husband energy and showing his healing journey progress. The glow-up arc continues, but Bieber keeps it real about his ongoing mental health battle. In March 2025, he posted about feeling like he's drowning and struggling to let hate go, showing his self-worth issues weren't fully healed. In April 2024, he shared a crying selfie, peak vulnerability content, and in March 2025, he admitted feeling like a fraud and still battling anger issues, keeping it 100 with his audience about his mental health journey. As Bieber deals with the current Diddy drama and the resurfacing of their CUS interactions, his mental health remains the main concern. Sources spill that he's shutting down and refusing to engage with the Diddy conversation, suggesting major trauma response to these accusations, and fans can't help but wonder what unspoken role Diddy had to play in his troubles. These speculations are further fueled by all Diddy's legal battles. Sean Diddy Combs, once the main character in the hip-hop mogul cinematic universe with a billion-dollar empire spanning music, fashion, spirits, and media, is now serving major villain energy as the protagonist in a federal crime drama that could end with life behind bars and his entire legacy getting the delete button. The tea started spilling in November 2023 when his ex of 10-plus years, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, dropped a lawsuit bomb that broke the internet. Her receipts contained explosive allegations about physical abuse, coercion, and throughout their relationship from 2007 to 2018, while Diddy's team shut it down within 24 hours with an undisclosed bag. It was giving major, this is just the beginning energy in what would become a total reputation wipeout. Cassie's lawsuit was literally the first domino in a massive cancellation cascade. In peak plot twist energy, 63 more lawsuits entered the chat with allegations of and misbehavior, some dating all the way back to 1991. The legal system finally started taking notes, with federal authorities launching their own investigation into Diddy's entire vibe. The drama leveled up on March 25th, 2024, when the feds did a raid-core moment at Diddy's cribs in LA and Miami. The search warrant era yielded major receipts, guns, substances, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, which prosecutors later connected to what they're calling freak-offs, the alleged adult act trafficking events at the center of the case. It was giving crime documentary aesthetics that had Twitter in absolute shambles. Then came the ultimate cancellation catalyst on May 19th, 2024, when CNN leaked CCTV footage from 2016 showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie in a Los Angeles hotel hallway. The graphic security camera era showed him grabbing, throwing, kicking, and dragging her, providing visual confirmation of Cassie's abuse allegations. Diddy responded with the Classic Notes app apology tour, claiming he took full responsibility and was disgusted by his actions, but the PR damage control was giving too little, too late energy.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it, I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab.
The Consequences era finally arrived on September 16, 2024, when Diddy got his villain origin story with an arrest and indictment trifecta: racketeering conspiracy, trafficking for adult acts, and transportation to engage in adult work. The next day's indictment reveal was serving major tea, alleging Diddy had operated a criminal enterprise with coerced sexual acts, forced labor, and other crimes since at least 2008. It was the kind of bombshell that creates a trending topic for days. In a major L, Diddy's bail got denied on September 18, 2024, with judges citing potential witness intimidation vibes. This put him in his jailbird era at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he's been living rent-free throughout the legal saga. The accusations against Diddy kept leveling up in the following months through a series of superseding indictments. On January 30, 2025, prosecutors expanded the racketeering allegations to include 2 new female victims and crimes dating back to 2004. On March 6, 2025, another indictment added forced labor to the narrative, claiming Diddy controlled employees through threats. By April 4, 2025, the charges had expanded to include 2 more counts related to victim 2 for trafficking and unaliving between 2021 and 2024. Throughout this cancellation era, Diddy has been giving innocent energy, pleading not guilty to all charges at each arraignment. His legal team tried the delay tactics, but Judge Arun Subramanian wasn't having it, rejecting their request for a 2-month trial postponement on April 18, 2025, basically saying, "Nice try but no," to the late submission. A major plot point dropped on April 25, 2025, when Judge Subramanian ruled the 2016 Cassie assault video would be admissible as evidence, basically ensuring the jury would see Diddy's villain behavior firsthand. On the same day, tea spilled that Diddy had rejected a plea deal from prosecutors, though the exact terms remain a mystery box. The charges against Diddy are giving serious criminal justice vibes. He's facing a 5-count federal indictment, 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of trafficking for adult acts by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in adult work. The allegations span from 2004 to 2024, presenting a pattern that prosecutors claim is giving full criminal enterprise energy. The prosecution's case centers on the so-called freak-offs, described as drug-fueled adult-themed events with coerced participants that were Owen recorded. Allegedly, Diddy was using his wealth and influence to silence victims and cover up the receipts, with his entourage enabling these activities. If convicted on the full charge sheet, particularly the trafficking counts, Diddy could be facing the life imprisonment arc. The trial saga, officially titled United States v. Combs, kicked off with jury selection on May 5, 2025, at the Daniel Patrick Moynihan United States Courthouse in Manhattan, with Judge Arun Subramanian presiding. The jury selection process had main character energy, screening nearly 100 potential jurors, with Diddy reportedly serving nervous vibes in court. Some scheduling drama. The final jury of 12 members and 6 alternates got seated on May 12, 2025, the same day opening statements started serving legal tea. The jury's demographic details are on private mode to protect their privacy in this viral case. The opening statements on May 12, 2025 set up the competing narratives that will dominate this legal content series. Prosecutors painted Diddy as a cultural icon with secret villain energy, running a criminal enterprise spanning 20 years with kidnapping, arson, substances, SA crimes, bribery, and obstruction in the storyline. They highlighted his violence arc, including beating a girlfriend suspected of cheating and kidnapping an employee. The freak-offs were positioned as the main plot, with prosecutors teasing that videos would show Diddy abusing Cassie and another victim identified only as Jane, promising receipts that would trend for days if released. The defense team was giving alternate reality energy, portraying Diddy as a complicated man whose case involves love, jealousy, infidelity, and money, not trafficking. They framed his adult-themed activities as consensual swinger lifestyle choices, acknowledging his jealousy issues, temper problems, substance use, and preferences for kinky adult activities while denying criminal intent. In classic humanizing tactics, the defense emphasized his government name, Sean Combs, over his stage names, trying to make the jury see the person, not the persona. The evidence lineup is giving bombshell energy, including the 2016 video of Diddy assaulting Cassie, recordings of the alleged freak-off events where women supposedly needed IV drips from exhaustion, and physical receipts like the 1,000 plus bottles of baby oil and lubricant seized from Diddy's homes. The witness list has Cassie Ventura as the main character, with her testimony expected to focus on their toxic relationship and the 2016 assault that went viral. 4 other accusers, including 2 female victims from the updated indictments, are set to spill tea about alleged coercion and abuse. Plot twist. Reports claim a female victim central to the case is currently MIA, creating drama for the prosecution team as they build their narrative. Diddy's defense squad, led by Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, with Xavier R. Donaldson joining the group chat in early May 2025, has been trying various strategies throughout the pre-trial era. Their main defense aesthetic has been the consensual lifestyle narrative, framing Diddy's activities as part of a swinger vibe, not trafficking or coercion. They tried and failed to block the 2016 Cassie assault video, claiming manipulation. They've also filed to dismiss certain charges, like transportation to engage in adult work, citing the Mann Act's problematic racist history, though these efforts flopped. As the trial continues, we are led to wonder if new evidence connecting Justin Bieber to Diddy's dirty laundry will surface.
Suzanne, remember the first time he came to the show?
Yes, he
kicked John Anderson.
Yep, he kicked John.
Stepped right over him or something like that and kicked him.
He had the fame, the fortune, and the world at his feet. But behind the flashing lights and sold-out shows, Justin Bieber was allegedly building an empire on the backs of the very people who helped him rise. Now, a former crew member is breaking their silence, and what they're revealing is disturbing. The beginning of the Belieber's nightmare. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel where we spill all the tea that celebrities don't want you to know about. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because today's video is about to expose the dark side behind one of the biggest pop sensations of our generation. Today, we're diving deep into the allegations from an old crew member who's finally speaking out about how Justin Bieber supposedly exploited everyone around him. Now, before we get into all the juicy details, I need to give you a little background on Justin's rise to fame because it's kind of important to understand how a regular Canadian kid with a YouTube channel turned into someone who allegedly treated their staff like they were disposable. So picture this. It's 2009, and 15-year-old Justin Bieber has just released his debut EP, My World. The world is going crazy for this kid with the swoopy hair who can sing and play instruments. Like, we're talking full-on Bieber fever, something Gen Alpha could never understand. His first major tour, the My World Tour from 2010 to 2011, was when things allegedly started getting problematic. According to a Reddit comment from March 2023, people who worked with Justin during his My World Tour described him as the rudest child star. Yikes! That's not exactly the kind of reputation you want when you're basically still a child yourself. But here's where it gets interesting. The same source mentioned that after his sorry era, around 2015, Justin became down-to-earth and sweet. So what happened during those early years? That's what we're here to find out. Let's start by acknowledging that Justin was young when fame hit him. Like, most of us were worrying about algebra homework while he was performing for thousands of screaming fans. The pressure must have been intense, and it's not surprising that it might have affected his behavior.
I did something that really hurt him. I did something very immature and stupid. It damaged the idea of me for you.
Yeah, I think so too.
She went out and did things that hurt me, and so it was just this hurt. She hurt me. And then before tour, we just really stopped talking. I was really upset.
But while Justin was struggling with his own demons, it seems like the people around him were dealing with their own challenges, specifically working with a teenager who had more power and influence than most adults will ever have in their lifetime. Now, before you come for me in the comments, let's be clear. We're not saying all of these allegations are 100% confirmed, but still, where there's smoke, there's usually fire, right? And when you combine this with what we know about the pressure Justin was under, plus the reports of his behavior from other sources, it starts to paint a picture that's not exactly giving wholesome vibes. Let's talk about Justin's relationship with his manager, Scooter Braun, because this is where things start to get messy. According to an X post from April 2025, Scooter and Justin had a toxic relationship, where Justin was allegedly overworked. Another post mentioned a deep dive thread on Bieber being overworked by Scooter Braun. If a teenage Justin was being pushed to his limits by his management, is it any surprise that he might have taken out his frustrations on the staff around him? It's like when your boss yells at you, and then you go home and snap at your roommate for leaving dishes in the sink. Except in Justin's case, his workplace was a world tour, and the pressure was 1,000,000 times more intense. Let's also talk about the elephant in the room, child stardom. Justin's rise to fame wasn't just your average success story, it was meteoric. One minute he's posting YouTube covers, and the next he's selling out arenas worldwide. That kind of rapid ascent doesn't exactly create the best environment for developing healthy professional relationships. Reddit discussions in r CPTSD and r pop culture chat have expressed sympathy for Bieber's exploitation as a child star, suggesting that any alleged rudeness might have been a response to intense pressure rather than intentional mistreatment. One post even discussed the Bieber bashing of the early 2010s, highlighting the societal abuse he faced. That's the thing about child stars. They're put under a microscope at an age when most of us are still figuring out who we are. Every mistake is amplified, every bad day becomes fodder for tabloids, and the pressure to be perfect is intense. Justin was literally growing up in front of the world, and that can't have been easy. But does that excuse poor treatment of staff? Absolutely not. If the allegations are true, then Justin's behavior was problematic, regardless of the circumstances. But understanding the context helps us see the bigger picture. Now, let's get into the specific allegations from this supposed old crew crew member. According to the limited sources available, staff members who worked with Justin during his My World tour found him difficult to work with. The specific nature of this difficulty isn't detailed, but it could range from general rudeness to more serious, unprofessional behavior. It's worth noting that Justin himself has admitted to being reckless in the past, though this was in reference to his relationship with Selena Gomez, not his treatment of staff. Still, it suggests a pattern of behavior that Justin has since acknowledged and seemingly worked to change.
And rather than, before that in my previous relationship, I went off and just went crazy and went wild, just was, being reckless. Yeah, I got better. And so she would reach out to people that were like, that we knew. And she would get like you'd hear, like, oh, he's doing so well. And she would be so pissed off because she's like, he's not doing well without me.
However, it's also important to recognize that people can change. That same Reddit comment that called him the rudest child star also mentioned that he became down-to-earth and sweet after his sorry era. This suggests that as Justin matured and dealt with his own issues, his treatment of others improved. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that Justin has made efforts to be a better employer in recent years. A Billboard article from April 2022 highlighted that Justin offered free therapy to his tour crew, suggesting a positive relationship and concern for their well-being. That's definitely not giving exploitative boss energy. So what does all this mean? Was Justin Bieber really exploiting everyone around him? Or was he just a kid who was struggling with the pressure of fame and occasionally lashed out? The truth is, probably somewhere in the middle. The dark side of Bieber fever. So we've established that there are some allegations about Justin being difficult to work with, especially during his early My World tour days. But what does difficult to work with actually mean? Let's break it down. When a celebrity is labeled as difficult, it could range from diva-like behavior, think showing up late, making unreasonable demands, that kind of thing, to more serious issues like verbal abuse or creating a toxic work environment. Unfortunately, the limited sources we have don't specify exactly what made Justin the rudest child star, so we're left to speculate based on what we do know about his behavior during that time. What we do know is that Justin's early years of fame coincided with some troubling behavior in his personal life. From 2013 to 2014, Justin had several run-ins with the law, including a DUI arrest in Miami, an egg-throwing incident at a neighbor's house, and an arrest for assault in Toronto. While these incidents don't directly relate to his treatment of staff, they do suggest that Justin was going through a difficult period where his behavior was, let's say, less than exemplary. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Remember when I mentioned Scooter Braun earlier? Let's talk more about that relationship because it's crucial to understanding the dynamics at play here. Scooter Braun discovered Justin when he was just 13 years old after seeing his YouTube videos. He became Justin's manager and essentially helped shape his entire career. But according to some sources, this relationship may not have been entirely healthy. There are allegations that Scooter overworked Justin and may have even manipulated him to some extent. If these allegations are true, then it creates a complex power dynamic. Justin, as a teenager, was being pushed by his management, potentially beyond what was healthy. This pressure could then have trickled down to how Justin treated the staff working on his tour. It's not an excuse for poor behavior, but it does provide context. It's also worth considering the role of Justin's parents in all this. Justin's mother, Patty Millette, was very young when she had him. She was just 18, and Justin was largely raised by her. His father was less present during his childhood. When Justin became famous, his mother was thrust into a role that she may not have been prepared for, managing the career of a global superstar. Again, this isn't an excuse for any poor behavior on Justin's part, but it does highlight the lack of adult guidance that might have helped him navigate fame in a healthier way.
I'm assuming that one day you're gonna be a dad, right?
Yeah.
So picture this: we got either Justin Jr. sitting on your lap or little Justine sitting on your lap.
Yep.
When they say, "Dad, what was the best part about your teenage years?" What would you say?
I would say best part of the teenage years. That shut off perfect timing.
I know, right?
That was like huge.
Deep.
It's on purpose.
Yeah, we're getting deep. Deep.
What was it?
Owning a Ferrari.
No, not that.
Going deeper than that.
Sickest part when I was probably my relationship with my ex-girlfriend.
That's deep.
That's deep.
That was on the list of
beautiful.
things we're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, well,
So
I'm not gonna talk about it, but I'm just gonna say that and we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
The man.
Right.
Hey, truly appreciate your
Thank you.
time hanging with
Thank
us,
you.
brother.
Justin Bieber, everybody.
Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the impact of fan culture on how celebrities treat their staff. During the height of Bieber fever, Justin's fans were intense. They would literally camp out for days to get a glimpse of him. They'd send death threats to girls he was rumored to be dating, and they created a culture where Justin could essentially potentially do no wrong. When you're surrounded by that kind of adoration, it's easy to start believing your own hype. If millions of people are treating you like you're perfect, why would you listen to a tour manager telling you that you need to be on time for soundcheck? This fan culture could have contributed to any entitled behavior Justin may have displayed towards staff. But here's the thing. While there are these allegations about Justin's behavior during his early tours, there's also evidence suggesting he's made efforts to change. As I mentioned earlier, that same Reddit comment that described him as the rudest child star also noted that he became down-to-earth and sweet after his sorry era. This transformation seems to coincide with several major life changes for Justin. Around 2015 to 2016, Justin publicly reconnected with his Christian faith, which he has said helped him find purpose and meaning beyond fame. He also started being more open about his mental health struggles, including depression and anxiety. In 2018, Justin married Hailey Baldwin, now Bieber, and many fans and observers have noted that this relationship seems to have had a stabilizing effect on him. And in more recent years, Justin has been open about his past mistakes and his desire to be a better person. All of this suggests that if the allegations about Justin exploiting or mistreating staff are true, they likely reflect a specific period in his life rather than an ongoing pattern of behavior. People can change, and it seems like Justin has made efforts to do so. Now let's talk about the impact of mental health on workplace behavior, because this is super important to consider. In 2020, Justin revealed that he had been diagnosed with Lyme disease and chronic mononucleosis, which had affected his physical and mental health. He's also been open about his struggles with depression and anxiety. When someone is dealing with untreated mental health issues, it can absolutely affect how they interact with others, including in professional settings. This doesn't excuse poor treatment of staff, but it does provide context that might help us understand why Justin might have been difficult to work with at times. It's also worth noting that Justin has made efforts to address mental health not just in his own life, but in the lives of those who work with him. In 2022, he partnered with BetterHelp to provide free therapy to his tour crew and fans, which suggests a level of awareness and care that doesn't align with someone who deliberately exploits those around them. So what's the truth? Did Justin Bieber exploit everyone around him? Or is this just one person's negative experience being blown out of proportion? It's hard to say for sure, but based on the available evidence, it seems like there might have been issues with how Justin treated staff during his early years of fame. But these issues were likely influenced by a complex mix of factors, including his young age, the pressure of fame, potential overwork by management, and possibly untreated mental health issues. And importantly, it seems like Justin has made efforts to change and improve over time. That's not to say we should excuse any past mistreatment of staff. If it occurred, it was wrong, regardless of the circumstances. But it does suggest that the narrative of Justin Bieber as someone who deliberately exploited everyone around him might be overly simplistic. The truth behind the headlines. So far, we've looked at the allegations that Justin was the rudest child star during his My World tour, and we've explored some of the factors that might have contributed to any poor treatment of staff, including the pressure of fame, potential overwork by management, and Justin's own mental health struggles. Now, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. What do these allegations, limited though they may be, tell us about the entertainment industry as a whole? And what can we learn from Justin's journey? First and foremost, it's important to acknowledge that the entertainment industry often creates environments where exploitation can thrive. Young stars like Justin are surrounded by adults who profit from their success, creating inherent conflicts of interest. When a teenager is generating millions of dollars in revenue, the adults around them might be more focused on maintaining that revenue stream than on ensuring the teenager's well-being. This isn't unique to Justin. We've seen similar patterns with child stars throughout history, from Macaulay Culkin to Lindsay Lohan to the cast of Stranger Things. The industry hasn't always been great at protecting its youngest and most vulnerable participants, but it's also important to note that the industry has evolved over time. There are now more protections in place for child performers, including regulations about working hours, required education, and financial protections to ensure that young stars don't have their earnings squandered by parents or managers. Justin's career spanned this transition period. When he first became famous in 2009, social media was still relatively new, and the entertainment industry was still figuring out how to adapt to this new landscape. The intense scrutiny that Justin faced was unprecedented, and neither he nor the adults around him may have been equipped to handle it in a healthy way.
Does it rhyme with Melina?
Here's the thing.
Does it rhyme with Melina?
I just never know what women are thinking. Because it's just like they say one thing and they mean another thing, and they're like, do this, and then, no, don't do this. And then I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know? Or they're like kissing you and then they push you off of them, and then I'm like,
But why? What's going on?
Yeah. Now let's talk about redemption, because this is a key theme in Justin's story. As we've discussed, the same Reddit comment that described Justin as the rudest child star also noted that he became down-to-earth and sweet after his sorry era. This suggests a journey of growth and change, which is something we don't talk about enough when discussing celebrities. It's easy to cancel someone for past behavior, but it's more nuanced and ultimately more productive to acknowledge that people can learn from their mistakes and change for the better. If Justin did mistreat staff during his early tours, but has since made efforts to be a better employer and a better person, doesn't that count for something? This isn't to say that we should excuse any past mistreatment. If it occurred, it was wrong, regardless of the circumstances. But it does suggest that the narrative of Justin Bieber as someone who deliberately exploited everyone around him might be overly simplistic and fails to account for his personal growth over time. It's also worth considering the role of the media and public perception in all of this. During the early 2010s, it was practically a sport to criticize Justin Bieber. Late-night hosts made jokes at his expense, news outlets reported on his every misstep, and social media was filled with anti-Bieber sentiment. This negative attention could have exacerbated any existing issues, creating a vicious cycle where Justin felt attacked from all sides and potentially lashed out at those around him. But despite this intense scrutiny, there's actually limited evidence of widespread allegations regarding Justin Bieber treating staff poorly. If Justin had been consistently terrible to work with throughout his career, we would expect to see more reports from staff members, more lawsuits, more public complaints. The fact that this isn't the case suggests that either any mistreatment was limited to specific periods or specific individuals, or that the allegations have been exaggerated. Now, none of this means that we should dismiss the experiences of staff members who may have been treated poorly. Their experiences are valid, and if Justin or any celebrity mistreated them, that's not okay, regardless of the circumstances. But it does mean that we should be cautious about painting Justin, or any celebrity, with too broad a brush based on limited information. So where does this leave us? Based on the available evidence, it seems like there were likely some issues with how Justin treated staff during his early years of fame, particularly during the My World tour. These issues were probably influenced by a complex mix of factors including his young age, the pressure of fame, potential overwork by management, and possibly untreated mental health issues. But it also seems like Justin has made efforts to change and improve over time, suggesting a journey of growth rather than a fixed pattern of exploitative behavior. This doesn't excuse any past mistreatment, but it does provide a more nuanced understanding of the situation. What's perhaps most important to take away from all of this is the impact of early fame on young people. Justin was thrust into the spotlight at an age when most of us are still figuring out who we are. The pressure and scrutiny he faced were immense, and it's not surprising that this might have affected his behavior in negative ways. As fans and consumers of entertainment, we have a responsibility to consider the human beings behind the personas we see on screen. We should hold celebrities accountable for their actions, yes, but we should also recognize the complex factors that might contribute to problematic behavior, and we should allow space for growth and change. In Justin's case, it seems like he's made efforts to address his past mistakes and become a better person. His openness about his mental health struggles, his reconnection with his faith, and his efforts to provide therapy for his tour crew all suggest someone who is trying to do better. Is Justin Bieber perfect? No, of course not. None of us are. But is he a calculating exploiter who deliberately mistreated everyone around him? Based on the available evidence, that seems unlikely. The truth, as is often the case, is probably somewhere in the middle. A young person who made mistakes, hurt some people along the way, but has also tried to learn and grow from those experiences. And that's it for today's video. Click on any of the cards showing on your screen right now, and I'll see you in the next one.